All right, guys, welcome back to JFabe Wrestling for another Survivor Series rebooking. So last Survivor Series I did was 2004, and I did Raw versus SmackDown, and now we're into 2005, which was the real Raw versus SmackDown, where it actually did happen. So, you know what? Why don't I just keep the Raw versus SmackDown theme going? And yeah, let's continue with it. So let's get into the card that actually happened. Was This is from the top of my head. They had the match one between Chris Benoit and Booker T. They had the women's championship match, Trish Stratus defeating Melina. I remember they also had Intercontinental Championship last man standing, Triple H versus Ric Flair in a really good match, really brutal. What else did they have? They had Eric Bischoff versus Theodore Long, Battle of the General Managers. They had the WWE Championship match, Kurt Angle challenging John Cena with Daivari as special guest referee. And they had the main event, of course, was Team SmackDown, Randy Orton, JBL, Rey Mysterio, Bobby Lashley, and Captain Batista versus Team Raw, Carlito, Chris Masters, Big Show Kane, and Captain Shawn Michaels. And Randy was the sole survivor, and this is also when The Undertaker returned after he was, set on fire in a casket by Randy and Bob Orton at No Mercy. So I actually have this pay-per-view on a DVD just because as a kid I just love Raw versus SmackDown. I couldn't get enough of it. I was a SmackDown guy just because I believe Raw, it started a little later, like 9 o'clock. And, my parents told me to go to sleep. But SmackDown started at 8. So I was able to, watch SmackDown more. And I believe it was also on a Friday, right? So, yeah, I was able to watch SmackDown. So I was more of a SmackDown guy. But, yeah, so I'm going to keep the format going. And let's get into my card. All right, so the first match, Cruiserweight Championship, representing SmackDown, Juventud versus representing Raw, Chavo Guerrero. As we all know, Eddie Guerrero passed, before this pay-per-view. He was supposed to be on, the original Team SmackDown. And, Chavo, he was Curran White, so he was trying to get rid of his Mexican heritage and all that. And obviously, you couldn't really continue that gimmick after Eddie died. So he turned back to Chavo Guerrero. He became a face. And, I think this would be a good match. Juventud, I'm sure he had a lot of history with Eddie Guerrero in WCW. I'm not 100% sure, but I do both know like they were both in the Cruiserweight division at that time. So, and Eddie Guerrero, he had a great Cruiserweight career. Everyone knows his match with Rey Mysterio, Halloween Havoc. So I think it'd just be a great tribute for Eddie Guerrero. And I'd actually have Chavo Guerrero win the Cruiserweight Championship from Juventud in just kind of a feel-good moment for Chavo. And after him and Juventud, they could kind of shake hands. And, Chavo can celebrate, in honor of his uncle Eddie Guerrero. All right, the next match we got is the Women's Championship match. Trish Stratus versus Melina. So this did happen in real life. So I keep all the build the same. I like where, was it Eminem? They kind of abducted Trish Stratus and Melina. She was talking shit to her while, she was all taped. Her mouth was taped up and her hands were tied. So that was kind of a cool storyline. And I'd actually have Melina get the win where Mickie James kind of messes up. And she accidentally hits Trish. And Melina gets the surprising victory. So it's actually pretty cool because, you think like the title wouldn't change hands just because, one competitor's on a different brand. But for both of these matches, I'd actually have the person from the opposing brand actually win the title. So, yeah, Trish could get it back at like Royal Rumble 2006. So that's the next co-branded show. So they could kind of build towards that. And, yeah, from there you could, build towards Trish versus Mickie at WrestleMania. All right, next match. We got, kind of like the mid-card traditional Survivor Series elimination match. They didn't really have much tag teams at the time, so I think, this will do. So you kind of got, a powerhouse on the team, a tag team, kind of a young star, and a veteran. So, you kind of got a good mix here. So for powerhouse representing Raw, you got Chris Masters, and then the tag team would be Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch. The rising star would be Carlito, and the veteran would be Tajiri versus SmackDown. So their powerhouse, Bobby Lashley. Their tag team, Animal Heidenreich, and their rising star, Ken Kennedy, and their veteran, William Regal. So you got a lot of talent here. And I actually have, Chris Masters and Bobby Lashley be the last two. And I'd have Bobby Lashley defeat Chris Masters. And Bobby Lashley's a sole survivor. Gives SmackDown the victory. And the score is now 2-1 for SmackDown. All right, next up, we got the Battle of the Tag Team Champions. We got the World Tag Team Champions, The Big Show and Kane, versus the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Champions, MNM. So, yeah, I mean, there's really not much of a feud here. Eminem could say, they could kind of call Big Show and Kane ugly and fat and all that, and say, they're Hollywood stars, they got the paparazzi. So, yeah, you could kind of, go that route. And, got to give Big Show and Kane the win here. They were just starting their dominant tag team run. And I think it'll be a solid match. So now it's the score is 2-2. And the next match, we got the Battle of the Mid-Card titles. We got representing Raw, Intercontinental Champion Shelton Benjamin versus representing SmackDown, the U.S. Champion Chris Benoit. So I think this would be a great match. Shelton could also bring up how, Chris Benoit was a mentor to him, especially on Raw last year. And, Chris Benoit can say, he wants to see how good Shelton is. He really wants to see if he's really the future of this business. And, it'll be a really good match. I'd have Benoit, sneak out the win by submission with the crossface after he's going to shake Shelton's hand, but Shelton kind of walks away. Because in reality, Shelton was also turning heel, so I would kind of use this as the start of his heel turn. So now SmackDown is up 3-2. All right, next up we got the Battle of the World Champions. We got the WWE Champion John Cena versus the World Heavyweight Champion Batista. Yes, I don't know if you guys know, SmackDown versus Raw 2006. This was pretty much the cover. You had, Cena on the left side, and he was his picture was kind of red, and then we got Batista on the right side, and his picture was kind of blue. So, man, we got the two biggest stars in the business, to be honest. They could kind of mention how at WrestleMania 21, they both reached the pinnacle, but there can only be one true star to WWE, and now they're gonna figure it out. Who is it? Is it Cena or is it Batista? And I think this would be a really good match. They had a pretty great match at SummerSlam 2008, the first time they met, and that was 3 years later. So imagine, 3 years earlier when, let's say, Batista was probably at the peak of his popularity, and Cena, he was probably at the peak of, his ovation in terms of, the fans were super invested in him, whether they're cheering or booing. So I think it'll be a good match. And then actually have John Cena defeat Batista. I think it just makes sense, especially, knowing WWE, and John Cena is younger, and they eventually did lean towards John Cena as being the top guy. So I think it makes sense for Cena to get the win after they could shake hands. And so now we're at 3-3, and we're at the big match, the main event. All right, guys, now we're at the main event, the traditional 5-on-5 classic Survivor Series match. We got Team Raw. We got The Game, Triple H, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, the Olympic gold medalist, Kurt Angle, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair and the man who will not die, Matt Hardy, versus The Undertaker, the Phenom, the Legend Killer Randy Orton, the Ultimate Underdog Rey Mysterio, JBL John Bradshaw Layfield, and the 5-time World Heavyweight Champion Booker T. So a really star-studded match, and of course you're gonna have infighting. Shawn and Kurt Angle, their rivalry throughout 2005. And they also had a 30-minute Iron match that ended in a draw. So, there's tension there. Of course, Shawn and Triple H, of course, their rivalry goes a long way back. Even Kurt Angle and Triple H have, some issues. And I wouldn't have Triple H turn on Ric Flair just yet. Maybe do it later on. You could even have this match. Maybe, Rick accidentally, caused Triple H to get eliminated. And that kind of starts Triple H, realizing that he doesn't need Ric Flair. And then on the SmackDown side, obviously, Randy, what he did to Undertaker. So it'd be kind of funny where Theodore Long says, "And your last tag team partner, Randy, on Team SmackDown is The Undertaker." And then Theodore Long can say, he told Undertaker he can't touch Randy Orton until after the tag match. And they're going to fight at Armageddon Hell in a Cell. So obviously there's issues going on over there. Then we got, Rey Mysterio and JBL. They've always had history. And Booker T as well. So I think who should win? This is tough. I'm going to actually have the last two be Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. I know this kind of ruins Randy's Soul Survivor thing, but forget that. I think Undertaker and Shawn, obviously they showed us 4 years later how great their chemistry is, but man, they'll have a great match. And yeah, I'd actually have Undertaker win clean, defeat Shawn Michaels. Kind of plays off that, Raw won last year. So SmackDown gets the win this year. And after the match, SmackDown be celebrating. But then Taker, he sees Randy Orton. He gives him a choke slam and tombstone. So kind of, begins to build for their Hell in a Cell match at Armageddon. So, yeah, guys, that is my card. Let me know what you guys think about it. And I'm going to go run down the card one more time. Let's go. All right, guys, the first match for the Cruiserweight Championship, SmackDown's Juventud versus Raw's Chavo Guerrero. For the Women's Championship, we got Raw's Trish Stratus versus SmackDown's Melina. And then we got the mid-card traditional Survivor Series Tag Team Elimination match. We got the Powerhouse Chris Masters, Raw's Tag Team Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch, Raw's Rising Star Carlito, and Raw's Veteran Tajiri versus SmackDown's Powerhouse Bobby Lashley, SmackDown's Tag Team Animal and Heidenreich, SmackDown's Rising Star Ken Kennedy, and SmackDown's Veteran William Regal. Then we got the Battle of the Tag Team Champions, the World Tag Team Champions from Raw, the Big Show and Kane, versus the WWE Tag Team Champions, Joey Murphy, Johnny Nitro, Eminem. And we got the Battle of the Mid-Card Champions. We got the Intercontinental Champion from Raw, Shelton Benjamin, versus the United States Champion from SmackDown, Chris Benoit. And now we got the Battle of the World Champions. We got the WWE Champion, John Cena from Raw, versus the World Heavyweight Champion, Batista from SmackDown. In the main event, the traditional Survivor Series Tag Team Elimination match, Team Raw, Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle, Triple H, Ric Flair, and Matt Hardy versus Team SmackDown, The Undertaker, Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, JBL, and Booker T. So yeah, guys, that is my card. Once again, I appreciate y'all for listening. Like, comment, subscribe for more videos, and peace.